give a thumbs up.
So am I calling the meeting to order, or is someone else calling the meeting to order?
If you could call it to order, that'd be helpful.
That's fine. Sorry.
No
I wasn't exactly clear. Okay. Anyway, we're going to call the meeting to order now, please. The first order of business we have to go through today, we are missing our usual valiant chairman. And so our first order of business is going to be to appoint a chairman for today's meeting. Please, Tim or Holly.
I nominate Heather.
Oh, you're muted, Tim.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so the first is I'll make an announcement regarding the procedures. Any person who's speaking at the meeting needs to provide their name and address for the record prior to addressing the committee. I don't know if we have anyone here. I don't see that we do, but if we do, someone will alert me. Now we should adopt the Committee of Adjustment agenda. Can I have a mover for that, please?
I'll move.
Okay, Tim.
And I'll second that.
Okay, thanks, Holly. And now, does anybody have a disclosure of pecuniary interest or of
I
any
don't.
general nature?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. We'll move then to adopt the Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes from January 23rd.
I will.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Okay, you guys are going to be very busy today. All right, so now we can get on to the public meetings. Today we are actually dealing with 4 different applications. Our first application is application A0220. We refer to that as McDonald property. It's part lot 20 and 21 concession 1, and we know it as 1473 County Road 2. I'm going to read some of this, but I'm not going to read all of it. It's quite long. The applicant is seeking relief from bylaw 13-21 as amended to permit the construction of a new 30 by 45 foot, 1.5 story detached implement shed and garage structure. So he wants to build a new garage, a little bit bigger than what he has, a little bit bigger than would normally be allowed. I don't know if everybody's gone out to see the property, but we can move on now to Barb to see the comments that she has received, if in fact she has received any. You're muted, Barb.
Thank you very much. We did receive an email today from the fire chief advising of no objection. We've also received an email from Andrew Schmidt at the Cataraqui Region Conservation Authority dated June 18th, also advising of no objection. There is a staff report prepared for the committee on all of the applications before you this evening. And with respect to this particular application, it's noted that this is not a typical residential sized property. It's quite large. And the proposed setback is quite extensive. So although it is in the defined front yard, it's at a distance of about 296 meters, which is 974 feet from the front property line abutting County Road 2. The garage as such won't be visible from the public road. Staff are recommending for the committee's consideration the imposition of an archaeological condition, which is standard when there are any Committee of Adjustment developments proposed in an area that holds archaeological potential. And because the property does abut the river and the location of the garage is within a 300-meter setback from the river, this archaeological condition would be recommended. It basically just speaks to if there are any items unearthed during the excavation that the appropriate authorities be notified. We do have the applicant in attendance as well. And anyway, those are all the comments that have been received to date.
Okay, thank you. Now, does the applicant wish to speak?
In consideration of the committee's time, I'll just say a couple things. Just echoing what the chief planning officer has said. We believe the garage is a long way from the road. And even though it's technically in our front yard, if we were to build it behind our house, we'd actually be putting it so it would be visible from the river, which we think would be a poorer solution. The existing shed has been some years ago destroyed by a tree falling on it. And so we want to rebuild it. Currently, for those who've been out there, you probably see that it's pretty unsafe. And I'd like to, make it safe, at the same time expand it a little bit for the implements that we use to cut our lawn and whatnot. That's all I had to say. And I'm completely fine with the condition that the town is putting on it in respect of archaeological items.
That's quite a standard condition, as Barb mentioned. I'd also like to say, if there's anybody who has joined us on YouTube, if you would like to make a comment about any of the applications, you'll have to do so by sending an email to B. Calabas. Now, she'll have to help me if I get it wrong, because I don't have it right here in front of me, but it's bcalabas@ekwtp.ca, I think. I hope. I'm sure she'll speak up if I've gotten it wrong. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Holly, did you have any comments you'd like to make?
Yes, I was able actually to attend the site on Monday, and I absolutely concur. In this particular situation, the proposed garage is located at such a distance from the roadway that it'd be completely invisible, and there's a very large rocky ridge as well, which would obscure any view of this structure. And I have absolutely, no issue with this application whatsoever, subject to the archaeological condition.
Okay, thanks, Holly. Tim, did you have any comments you'd like to make?
I don't have any objection to the application. Looks fine to me.
Okay, and yeah, in the interest of time, I'm just not going to go through the same thing that everybody else says. I don't think there are any objections at all to it. So I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion to grant the minor variance?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye as well? No, motion is carried.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay. I think we, without any other sort of direction from anyone, I think we'll just move on to the next one. The next application is what's known as, well, I better get my right numbers here. 0220. I have 0420. I need to find 0320.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm going 0220. I'm sorry, I'm looking through my agenda here.
Mhm. If I can assist,
Okay,
we're at AO 320, the Hamilton property.
right. I know, I'm just trying to find it in my agenda. Do you know what page it's on?
It would be,
Which item is it?
it's item number 6.4.
6.4, okay. I was at 6.3. 6.4, there we are. Great, thank you very much. Okay, this is the Hamilton property at 5045 County Road 29. I can just, I'll describe it briefly rather than read the whole thing. The Hamiltons are looking to build a new garage on their property, and they do, in so doing, it's going to be over the allowable percentage of lot coverage by a little bit. What they propose to do is to demolish 3 sheds and remove an in-ground swimming pool to be able to accommodate this new garage. So I don't believe any comments were received, but I'll pass it along to Barb. And if I've missed anything, she'll let me know.
You're correct. We've received no concerns or comments from any of the neighboring property owners. We did just receive an email from the fire chief today advising of no objection. We've also received an email from Andrew Schmidt at the Cataraqui Region Conservation Authority dated June 18th, also advising of no objection to the application. There is a staff report before you, and it does include some comment with respect to suggesting a condition of approval be included on the application, simply to ensure that the 3 sheds that were identified to be removed, in fact, do get removed, just to ensure that the lot coverage that is to be filed is held to that account. So other than that, there are no other planning issues that were raised.
Okay. Tim, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I don't have anything to add to it. I'm in favor of it from what I can see.
Okay, and Holly, did you have any comments?
Yeah, when I attended the site, it appeared to me that the Hamiltons have already started to move ahead with some of the removal. Looks like the pool has been removed, and I think subject to the condition of approval that all 3 sheds are indeed removed, that it's absolutely fine. The overage is relatively minor, 1.2%, and I have no problem with that.
Okay, yes, Barb?
Thank you. I did forget to mention that in-ground pool is also proposed by staff to be removed, because it does get included in the lot coverage. So that was included in the staff report as part of the recommendation on the condition of approval.
Okay, I have one question, Barb. One thing that that I was thinking, so the garage is going back in the corner in the north. Let me see if I get it right here. The northeast corner of the property.
The northwest, technically, I think.
Northwest?
Yeah.
But yes, if you're looking at the property, the far left rear.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The far left rear corner. Okay.
That's correct.
Now, how are they going to access that? Because the driveway, my concern, they're not putting in a new access to the highway.
No, I'd asked that same question on site, and they are just using it for storage of sort of incidentals, so things that are not used very often.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought there might be boats or things or something that have to be. Anyway, okay. That's good. That was my only question about it. So I can call the question then. All those in favor of the motion, as long as we keep those recommendations or those conditions that the 3 sheds and the swimming pool be removed prior to building the garage. All those in favor?
Aye.
Me as well? Okay, great. We're just moving along here. Now, everybody just a breather for a second before we move on to the next one. So the next one, A0420 is the Willems property, and that's on Leader Cottage Road. I don't know if any of you made that beautiful drive out there, but I did, and it was quite lovely. And they're looking to build a garage on site towards the left, if you're looking at it, towards the left lot line, very close to their neighbors, where there should be at a minimum, and again, I'm not reading it directly, Barb will correct me if I'm wrong, but there should be a minimum of 10 feet. They propose a minimum of 5 feet. Okay, good. And there is an existing shed, and I understand they propose to keep that and build this in front of it. Again, the question of archaeological findings comes up. If they were to dig, to excavate anything, they would be subject to that. But this is proposed to be, again, on a gravel surface. So I don't believe there's any excavation to take place. I'll let Barb speak to it. I know that they've received some comments. I know the fire chief had some comments. Barb has some comments, and then I'll ask my 2 stalwart members to give any comments they have. So Barb, if you could speak to it, please.
Yes, hi. We were expecting the applicant. We are having a bit of a glitch in terms of being able to bring the applicant, if in fact it is the applicant in waiting, into the meeting. So I do apologize if that's the case.
Do you want to move on? Do you want to move on to the other one and then come back?
We could do that. I don't know, Melissa, do you think that might be helpful? Okay, there is no one to move in. Apparently there is, but there is a number code there. So we're not quite sure if there is an improper connection at their end or what's occurring. I think we certainly could move on to A5 if you wanted to circle back to this one.
Okay.
And I believe they would be able to, the Willems should be able to be observing the Zoom meeting, even though not brought into the meeting. So perhaps they could log out and try to come back in again.
Okay, so we can move on to A5. As soon as I find it, of course. Do we know what page it's on? What item number it is, rather? I'm sorry.
Page 23,
Page 23. Oh, thanks.
or that's where the staff comments are, I guess.
Page 23. Okay. So this is 4 Center Street in Jasper, which was a little difficult to find, given that there was no street sign, but there it was. I did find it. Now, the applicant is looking to get some relief from the condition that a building or a residential dwelling be some 900, I think it's 900 feet from an industrial site. There is an auto wrecker there, or I believe it's an auto wrecker, and it's an industrial site. The owner of the property is proposing to build a new house, and it's going to be some 300 feet, I think. I hope I have the right measurements. 300 feet where 900 is required. So he's asking us to relieve that condition so that they can go ahead with the building of the house. Now, one of the first question I had is something that, as we know, it was held up a little bit because they were waiting for a water sample. And that was my first question, was, how that was going to work out. So we'll let, if that's a good description, we'll let Barb speak to it as to the comments that they've received and any staff comments she has, please.
Okay. So yes, we have received comment from we received an email today from the fire chief, and the fire chief did advise of no concerns with the application, but did bring to the attention that the street sign is in fact missing. So that had been picked up on, and we did ask our Director of Public Works to ensure that that street sign is reinstated. And that would be a request that would need to go to the county, as that is a county road which Center Street comes onto. So that has been followed up on. In terms of other comments received, we did receive comment from the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority. They did advise in an email that they have no comments on the application. And there is there is another comment received from our Director of Public Works in an email dated June 11th, advising of no objections to the application. There is a staff report that was prepared for you. It was prepared yesterday, and just today we did receive a receipt of the well water report from Maury Associates Limited. And that report was dated yesterday. So that report does indicate that the well water samples obtained from a drilled well on that property indicate that the water is suitable for domestic use from a quality perspective or quality point of view. Noted in the report is that it's their opinion that as at the time of the preparation of the report, this is in fact the case. I guess in effect, this is really only a snapshot in time. So I think that is made clear in the report. And as a result of that, so there does appear to be good water quality with respect to proximity to the salvage yard industrial zoning. However, as a result of that, staff are recommending that there be a condition placed on any proposed approval or by the committee that would speak to the sort of to the future assurance that that well is properly maintained and serviced by the property owner to ensure that the well water quality remains suitable for their use. Wording that is proposed by staff would be that the owner at his sole cost and expense is solely responsible for ensuring an adequate supply of potable water to the residents, as the property is serviced by a private well, and the owner will not hold the township liable or responsible should any water quality issues arise in the future. That proposed condition was forwarded with the report to the applicant. And I did discuss with him this afternoon, Mr. Hobbs, that was the staff recommended condition, and he said he had no issues with that and felt it was reasonable. So again, it is a private well, and the onus of water quality remains with the private property owner for every township lot where water is provided by well. So those are the comments that have been received to date and the staff recommendation to the committee. I would just note that as detailed in the report to you, there are a number of existing properties within that 300-meter prescribed current distance that are already built on and have residential uses on them. There's 49 existing residences within that 300-meter distance, and 17 of those are at the proposed setback of 360 feet as this proposed dwelling is. There's also 17 mobile home units and 1 apartment and 5 boarding rooms with another apartment unit also within that 300-meter distance. So it is a fairly built up area already. A lot of existing development in that area. I believe those are all the comments I can offer to date.
Okay, thank you. Holly, do you have any comments on the motion or on the application?
I had a question actually that perhaps Barb can answer. Is that scrapyard now defunct, or is it still operating on a seasonal basis, or what's happening there?
It's my understanding that it's not currently operational. There was a municipal license issued to the property owner back in 2019, which provides under another bylaw that there can be no storage of materials within 50 feet of the property line. But to my knowledge, it's currently inactive, but it could be activated at any time because the zoning is in place to permit that.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I was actually surprised when I went there and to see how many homes there were within that narrow band. The application concerned me because, I mean, a large number of us in this township live on properties that have fragile aquifer. We're largely fragile aquifer here and obtaining our water supply from well water. So there's definitely a concern for potential surface and groundwater contamination from something like a scrapyard. I was really interested to read the very detailed water analysis. I wish I were a little more technically inclined and fully understood it all. But I got the general concept that it is at acceptable level currently. So I think the application is okay. But I do think it is absolutely imperative that a condition be imposed regarding well maintenance, and that it's really critical that there also be a condition regarding future liability, and that the township does not hold any responsibility for any future water problems, particularly if the scrapyard at some point does reopen.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Tim, did you have comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, I misunderstood the well thing. I thought they were gonna put another well in and just, they were testing this well to see if the water was good in the area, but it doesn't sound like that is the case. How many residences are being fed from this private well? Do we know that, or?
I think just the one.
I think it's a private well.
It is a private well servicing only this property. In terms of how many may draw from the same aquifer, we don't have that information, if that's what you were alluding to.
Oh, okay. So this is not a well that's being used by other residences then?
That's correct. It's a
It just
private well.
happens to be on that property. Okay,
That's correct.
all right. Okay. I don't have any problem with it then.
Okay. My only question, and this is to Barb, is this a condition? Is this something that we can just put into this application and it will be binding to future property owners of that property? Or does that condition just go with this application? So are we protected if we say, okay, you must maintain this well, and we say that to this property owner, and if he then sells it 5 years from now, is it still binding if someone else buys it, or does it have to go on the deed?
That's a good question. The way it's written currently, it would just be a condition on this decision. If the committee wanted it to be sort of transferred to future owners of the property so that they're aware of this variance and this condition, there could be an undertaking agreement requested of the applicant, which would be maybe not something on title, but it would be an agreement between the municipality and the property owner. That would be an agreement stating, that the current property owner will advise subsequent property owners of this variance and this condition, and the onus is on future owners to do the same. It's not legally on title unless the committee directs it to be an agreement that is registered on title, and that's certainly your opportunity.
Is that protection enough for the township to do that? I mean, it's quite a big step that we're taking, quite a big, by saying, sure, you go ahead and build your house that close to the industrial site. And I mean, I'd love for people to build their homes, but I also don't want, 20 years from now, for there to be, something that we were unaware of now. Okay.
The undertaking agreement, we've been advised by our lawyer that despite it not being registered on title, it still holds the same weight. But it does put an onus on the property owner to advise subsequent owners. So, and it would be something that we would hold in our files as an agreement. So I think it's adequate. It's a little less onerous because it doesn't have to be registered on title and there isn't that cost associated with it, but.
Yeah, good. So I would recommend that we do that. That would be my recommendation. I'll pose it to the other members, whether or not they would like to have that added to the application. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I do have another question.
Sure.
Probably for Barb. There's a note about there's 15 other vacant lots that we're going to have to deal with the same thing if they're developed. Okay.
Sorry, yes. This particular lot is an existing lot of record, as are the other lots that were identified in the staff report in terms of the number. This lot itself was deemed or merged together back in 2009 to be a buildable lot. And then when the new zoning bylaw came in 2013, the MS setback provision was included. So you're correct, these other properties will have a similar process to go through. And again, water quality seemed to be the main issue.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'd just like to remind anybody that is watching on YouTube, if you do have any comments or questions, since we can't meet in person, to please email bcalabas@ektwp.ca. And she'll get that right now and we can address them. So if you have any questions, please email Barb. Okay, so I'm going to then, as I said, I'm going to recommend that we add the undertaking to the application. And then I'll ask, I don't think I need you, I don't think I need I don't have to have that moved and seconded, do I?
No, you don't.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, so now I'll just call the question, and if there are no more comments, all those in favor of the application with this phrase put in that they responsibility for the well.
Right, responsibility for well maintenance plus their own liability for future quality.
Right, and to be sure to inform future property owners of the undertaking.
Right.
Okay, you're in favor, Holly?
I'm in favor.
Okay, Tim?
I'm in favor.
Okay, and I'm in favor too. Sorry, I'm not nearly as glib as Brian. Just seems to get through this without any stumbling or anything. He always knows where everything is.
Oh, you're doing good.
Oh, thanks. It's my YouTube debut. I don't think I'll have a new career or anything. Okay, so now we'll move on to the last one, which is I don't know if we're still waiting for anybody, but we'll move on. This is the Leader Cottage Road property, as I mentioned. First of all, it's a legally non-conforming lot. I believe it's undersized. So there's that issue. Well, it's not an issue. I'm sorry. There's that component of the application. As I said before, the applicant is looking to build a garage that will be on a gravel pad right up 5 feet from the property line. I think, I don't know if you guys, like I said, I don't know if you made that beautiful drive out there. If you had, you might have noticed that right next to where the trees are, there are sheds or little buildings on that side that will be quite close. So in any event, we'll let Barb speak to the comments that she has received and give us a staff report, please.
Okay. Yes, we've received comment from the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority. They've advised of no objection as the shed will be located 30 meters from the lake.
Okay.
We've also received an email today from the fire chief. And that email advises that the defined lot line could not be confirmed, although the property owner did state that to his knowledge, the standing trees would be the area of division. As noted in the application, the required distance to the lot line is to be 3 meters, section 3.1. And as the picture shows below, the existing small shed and neighbor structures would not comply with this requirement. Also noted is that in section 3.24, the neighboring bunkhouse would not conform. And were no defined markers with respect to the starting point of the right-of-way for either properties. As a comment by the fire department on a number of previous applications, it is always the concern of exposure to neighboring structures and vegetation in the event of a fire. Realizing that perhaps there is grandfathering clauses for the existing, it does create uniqueness to the application. And there were some photos provided in the email. You also have before you a staff report. And from a staff perspective, for the intended use as a shed, it does appear to be a reasonable setback to the west property line, provided that the roof runoff can be adequately contained within the limits of the subject property and not impact the property to the west. From a planning assessment perspective, it would be suggested that there be a notation on the decision that the proposed shed be located on gravel without a full foundation. That would forego the need to have any regard for archaeology. And also as a recommended condition that to ensure no impact on the area property owner with respect to rain or snow melt, that any added construction measures that might be required by the chief building official be implemented to ensure that that doesn't result. Issues such as possibly a eaves trough on the west side or snow guards. And that should be left to the CBO's sole discretion. The chief building official does have discretion under the building code and requirement under the building code to ensure that construction doesn't negatively impact adjacent properties. But I think it's worth drawing that to the chief building official's attention and suggesting that if there needs to be some type of retrofitting to the roof line on the west side, whether it's eaves troughs or a snow guard, that should be a reasonable condition to ensure no impact or roof runoff. Those are all the comments that have been received to date.
Thank you, Barb. Tim, do you have any comments about this application?
No, I think it's fine with those conditions on it.
So the conditions for the chief building official to be aware and to.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I
that's
think that would be good. Looks like
Okay.
it's pretty tight in that area, and that would probably be required anyway to mitigate any of that stuff. So
cottage country. It's lovely though.
yeah, it is.
And Holly, do you have any comments?
It was lovely that it was only a few minutes from my house.
Oh, that's nice.
A long journey like I usually have. I found it a little worrisome in terms of accessibility in the event of fire, particularly so because the neighbor had erected what appears to be a bunkie, directly beside the lot line. That I found troubling, so I really felt I had to relay the comments from the fire chief in terms of that, and he doesn't appear to be raising major objections. And certainly the water runoff, again, I don't know how we do we ask for a condition of approval by the chief building official, or how do we do that exactly, Barb?
If the condition were imposed, it would be brought to the chief building official's attention at the time of construction. It's proposed that it would be at the chief building official's sole discretion to ensure that that is complied with. So it would be, there's various other ways potentially that it could be. I mean, if the roof were sloped the other way or something like that, that could, provide for some relief as well. But the intention is that the chief building official would implement that condition.
I think we dealt with it on that very, very large garage that we did out near, I can't remember the name of the property, but we dealt with that then, about making sure that the water runoff stayed within the property lines and didn't run off onto the neighbors' properties. And I think we had it termed in there, and I think if we just can repeat that in this application, that it's at the discretion of the chief building official to make sure that that's met when they build it.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, well, Barb knows how to write all these things. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Holly?
Aye.
And me as well. I thought this was going to be such a long meeting. We're just zipping through it. Okay, so those are the 4 properties we had to deal with. Barb, was that clear enough?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Good. Sorry, I don't have all my notes and everything like I usually do. So, all right. Is there any other business that we must deal with today?
No.
Nope. Okay. Next meeting date, we don't know.
We don't know. It's to be determined based on applications that come in. With the we're still in the state of emergency under the province. However, the province has now indicated that planning applications need to be processed in accordance with the Planning Act timeline. So minor variance applications, as you know, need to be heard within 30 days of receipt. So it really will depend on applications coming in and us sort of checking with you on your availability for the next meeting date.
Okay, there is one little bit of business. Sorry, I should have mentioned this too. I'm sure you all, I don't know if you've all responded to Melissa about your availability to sign these decisions tomorrow. So if you haven't, if you could, so that we can get it done. And yeah, that's all. I just wanted to bring that up, make sure that everybody knows so we can get them done. And we don't have any questions as far as I know.
I'll just check one more time if I could.
Okay. My dog's even behaved.
I am going to be away tomorrow, so I sent Melissa an email regarding that, so.
We'll work with you, or Melissa will work with you on getting that.
Okay. I could always pop into the office. I think I'll be driving by at some point or near, if
Okay.
that works.
Okay. I'll leave that with Melissa to work out with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. And Madam Chairman, I will send you the draft decisions for your approval. Okay. So I'll do that in the next day or so.
Okay, great. All right. Well, this worked out well. I think it was good. We did a fine job. We did a fine job. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Or would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn, please?
I will.
Okay.
We adjourn.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
I guess it'll be seconded by Tim.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Nice evening.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.